This is problem number 4 from assessment number 2. A car went 348 miles in 6 hours, traveling part of the time at 55 miles per hour and part of the time at 64 miles per hour. How long did the car travel at each speed? So for this problem, we're looking for how long the car traveled at each speed. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a variable. I'm going to use t. And I'm going to say t is the time at one of the times, or one of the speeds, either 55 or 64. I'm going to use the lower speed, so I'm going to say this is the time at 55 mph. Now, most of the time, the feeling you get is if I use a variable for the time at 55, I need to use a different variable for the time at 64. Now, you can do that and use systems of equations, but for us, we're gonna skip the systems of equations part, and we're going to just write an expression for the time at 64 miles per hour, and that expression is going to include our original variable t. They tell us in the problem that car travels for 6 hours. Well, if I know my time at 55, then if I just take 6 minus that time, I'll get the time at 64. An example of this, let's say I travel for an hour at 55, that means I traveled for 5 at 64. 2 hours at 55, 4 hours at 64, 3 hours at 55, 3 hours at 64, so on and so forth. I'm just taking 6 minus whatever this number is. So this is the expression for the time for 64 miles per hour. Now, how do I get a distance? They tell us 348 miles, which is important. Well, a distance is a velocity times the time. If I take my speed times the time, that'll give me the distance. So I have times here. I have speeds, right, 55 and 64. So I'm going to go ahead and say that t, well, 55, velocity times time, so 55 times t plus 64 times its time, which is 6 minus t, has to equal the total mileage, right? Distance, so 348 miles. Again, I have a velocity times time here, which is a distance, plus another distance equals 348. Let's distribute now and see what we get. So as we go through, we're going to get 64 times 6, which is 384. So I have 55t plus 384 minus 64t equals 348. We're going to subtract the 384 across to both sides, so minus 384. And that gives you negative 36 equals, when we combine these together, we end up with negative 9t. Divide by negative 9, and t equals 4. And that'd be 4 hours. So the time at 55 was, we could say 4 hours at 55 mph. Well, what does that mean about the number of hours at 64? Well, again, if it's 4 hours at 55, it's got to be 2 at 64, right? 6 minus 4. So 2 hours then at 64 miles per hour.